One Piece deaths are rare, but when Oda decides to actually kill someone off, he makes sure it hurts, or at least changes the world forever. This is every major death in One Piece explained, and we need to start off with the death that literally happened just days ago. See, just as 2025 ended and One Piece went seasonal for 2026 onwards, it gave us one of the most brutal deaths we've seen so far. Saint Saturn wasn't just some random villain you could brush off. This guy was one of the Five Elders, literally a god in the eyes of the world government. For decades, fans thought these guys were untouchable. They'd just sit in their room looking menacing while running the entire world. Nobody expected one of them to actually die. But everything changed on Egghead Island. Saturn got sent there to handle Dr. Vegapunk and the Straw Hats, and he failed spectacularly. He couldn't stop Vegapunk's broadcast, couldn't capture Luffy, and basically fumbled every single objective. When you work for someone like Imu, that kind of failure has consequences. Imu did more than just fire Saturn from his job. They remotely stripped away his immortality powers while he was sitting next to the marine officers off the shore of Egghead. What happens next was genuinely horrifying. Getting his Evil Plus subscription cancelled, Saturn's body started aging rapidly. His flesh withered away, his bones turned to dust, and he literally crumbled into a skeleton in seconds while begging for mercy. It was made a point to show that he had no legs, only a skull and a torso. Despite everything he did to Bonnie and Kuma, Saturn's death was so graphic that I couldn't help but feel a tad sad. Especially considering the fan theory that all five elders were initially Joy Boy's crewmates, before Imu took over their conscience. After being alive for centuries, Saturn got erased like he was nothing. Just goes to show that even the so-called gods are just disposable pawns to the true king of the world, or as some would say, to the world itself. But Saturn's death was karma, because just before that, he was responsible for killing the smartest man alive. Dr. Vegapunk was the genius scientist who'd been teased for years. When we finally met him on Egghead Island, we saw that he turned out to be a she. Or did he? It turned out that Vegapunk had split his personality into 6 satellites to get more work done, each one representing a different aspect of himself. But the original body, the one called Stella, the Einstein-looking one with the apple on his head, was the real deal. The world government sent an entire fleet to Egghead when they realized Vegapunk had been researching the Void Century. That's a death sentence right there. During the chaos, Saturn stabbed Vegapunk with his spider leg in his demon form, leaving him with a fatal wound. Then Admiral Kizaru, who used to be Vegapunk's friend, who had helped him with building the island of the future, finished the job with a light beam straight through the chest. Watching Kizaru kill his old friend, then sobbing later, was genuinely heartbreaking. Here's where Vegapunk pulled off the ultimate power move. He knew he was going to die and betrayed his satellite of greed named York, so weeks before the incident even started, he set up a dead man switch, erasing his own memory of doing so. The moment his heart stopped beating, a pre-recorded message started broadcasting to the entire world. In this message, Vegapunk exposed the truth about the Void Century, the sinking world, and basically doxed the world government's darkest secrets. He died, but he made sure his death meant something. The man was 500 years ahead of his time in technology, and also in strategy. And while at the end, his satellites made it out of Egghead along with his brain, the Punk Records, physically, Stella didn't make it. Speaking of exposing the government, we have to talk about King Cobra. This death hurt because Cobra was just a good dad trying to ask questions. During the reverie, he went to meet the Five Elders because he'd found something interesting in his family records. His ancestor, Queen Lily Nefertari, was the only one of the original 20 families who refused to become a celestial dragon. That's already suspicious, but Cobra wanted answers. When he asked the elders about what happened to Lily and the meaning of the D in people's names, things went south fast. Imu, the secret ruler of the world, actually showed up in person. The moment Cobra saw Imu sitting on the empty throne, his fate was sealed. Nobody who knows about Imu's existence gets to live. Well, unless you're Sabo and Wapol. Anyway, the elders revealed that Lily had the D in her name too, making her Nefertari D Lily, and that she was the one who scattered the poneglyphs across the world. Cobra realized he wasn't making it out alive. When Imu and the elders attacked, Sabo tried to save him, but Cobra chose to sacrifice himself so Sabo could escape with the truth. He died standing his ground, revealing that his daughter Vivi also carries the D in her name. Before he passed, Cobra left Sabo with a final message from Queen Lily's letter. The poneglyphs bear the flag of the Dawn. The man died not as a king, but as a member of the D clan, protecting the truth his ancestors tried to preserve. Now let's talk about the death that broke me. Ace had everything going for him during the Marineford War. Whitebeard and Luffy stormed Marine headquarters to rescue him, and they actually succeeded. Ace was free, the handcuffs were off, and all he had to do was run away. That's it. Just leave and live. But then Admiral Akainu started talking trash about Whitebeard. See, Ace couldn't handle anyone disrespecting his captain, or rather, his dad. Knowing that Roger may have been his father, but he wasn't his daddy. Ace took disrespect toward Whitebeard way too hard. He turned around to fight Akainu, which sounds cool until you realize Akainu was way stronger than him. After wrecking Ace in a fight, Akainu went after Luffy with a magma fist. It was a killing blow aimed right at Luffy's chest. Out of nowhere, Ace jumped in front of his little brother and took the punch instead. Akainu's fist went straight through Ace's chest, giving him that Rengoku donut treatment. He fell into Luffy's arms with a burned hole through his body, and with his last words thanked everyone for loving him despite being the son of the Pirate King. Watching Luffy completely break down while holding his dead brother is still one of the most painful moments in One Piece. I shed a tear every time. That death changed everything too, eventually leading to the 2-year time skip. You could say Ace's death was necessary for the Straw Hats to get as far as they have. He died to give them life, and we got to see what he meant for Tama and Yamato and Wano. It made his death all the more sad, especially when Luffy had to tell Tama that Ace died. Oh, the poor child. Didn't think it was possible for one death to make me cry multiple times, but here we are. Immediately after losing Ace, the world lost another legend. Whitebeard showed up to Marineford already on life support. This man was sick, past his prime, and knew this rescue mission was basically a death sentence, but he went anyway, because that's what fathers do. Whitebeard had the Tremor fruit, which literally gave him the power to destroy the planet. Even weakened, he was still terrifying. During the war, he got shot, stabbed, hit by cannonballs, and had half his face blown off by Akainu. After all that, he still managed to wreck Akainu and protect his crew. When he finally died, he died standing up with 0 scars on his back, declaring that the One Piece is real. That declaration reignited the entire pirate era. With his final words, Whitebeard marked the end of an era and the dawn of a new one. Then there's the man who was literally born to boil. Kozuki Oden was the wild daimyo of Kuri and rightful heir to Wano, who returned from his travels with the king of the pirates only to find his country hijacked. After falling victim to a cheap distraction in the form of a fake clone of his son, Momonosuke, during the war, he was sentenced by Kaido and the usurper Orochi to boil alive in a pot of oil. Oden made a deal with Kaido. If he and his retainers could survive in the boiling oil for an hour, they'd go free. Kaido agreed because he thought it would be entertaining. That's when Oden proved that he was built different. He grabbed a massive wooden plank, held it over his head, and ordered his 9 red scabbards to stand on it. For an entire hour, he held up the weight of 9 grown people while being boiled alive. When the hour was up, Oden threw his retainers to safety just as Orochi tried to go back on the deal and ordered a firing squad. Recognizing Oden's strength, Kaido stepped in to deliver the merciful final gunshot himself. Oden struck a legendary pose, announcing that Oden wouldn't be Oden if it wasn't boiled, and died smiling as he sank into the oil. But his sacrifice set a 20-year prophecy in motion that eventually brought the emperors down. The man became a legend. That eventual downfall of the emperors began during the Whole Cake Island arc, when the Straw Hats were trapped in Big Mom's territory with no way out. Big Mom's forces had them cornered, and escape looked impossible. That's when Pedro made a choice. He strapped dynamite to his chest and blew himself up to take out Pedro and create an opening for the crew to escape. Pedro believed that the Straw Hats were the ones who would bring the dawn of the world. He died with that belief, sacrificing himself so they could continue their journey. Unlike some fake-out deaths in One Piece, Pedro actually stayed dead, and his sacrifice mattered. His sacrifice helped the Straw Hats step away from an emperor's territory safe and sound. Now, you can't talk about major deaths without mentioning the former Rocks pirates, 2 former emperors who ruled over the seas for decades. For the longest time, Kaido and Big Mom felt unkillable. They were literal natural disasters. But the new gen duo of Kid and Law managed to push Big Mom into a magma chamber, and Luffy punched Kaido so hard he joined her. While some still cope and say that the two aren't dead, they literally fell into a volcano that erupted. In One Piece, unless you see a body, you never know, but taking a lava bath for a week usually seals the deal. The Yonkos, Vegapunk, Saturn, these deaths mean Oda isn't playing around anymore. The final saga is here, and the stakes have never been higher, and clearly nobody is safe anymore. But would all these deaths have happened if the Straw Hats were stronger? What if all the Straw Hats had overpowered devil fruits? Well, that's the subject of this other video. Click on this video to see what it would look like if every Straw Hat ate a devil fruit. Go ahead, click it.